So House Bill 2388, which would have allowed voters in all 95 counties in Tennessee to petition to recall their school board members, failed yesterday in full committee, in the Education Administration Committee in the House. Failed. It passed subcommittee. We actually thought we had the votes. It looked fairly positive. We have gotten an incredible amount of support throughout the state for this bill. You've responded marvelously through our Take Action page on this bill. So all of these representatives have gotten hundreds of emails from you across Tennessee in support of this bill, yet it failed. These measures that defended liberty on behalf of the people continue to fail. So I'm going to show you some clips, and I want to talk through three key things that happened in the committee as to why this bill failed. But before I do that, I want to thank, and I'm gonna show a clip from him as well. I want to thank Representative Chris Todd out of Madison County, who carried the bill, who did a phenomenal job carrying the bill. We could not have had a better bill sponsor for this bill in the way that he presented it and defended the bill in committee. And so just thank you to Chairman Todd for running this bill, moving forward with this effort. We appreciate you. But nonetheless, guys, this committee voted it down. It should have gone to the floor. Like many of these bills, had it gone to the floor, it probably would have passed. So here's this first clip from a very young representative, Representative Cochran out of McMinn County. Listen to what he has to say, and then I'll make some remarks.
That is my concern. That's why I'm a very strong no on this one. It is a very low bar for those rural areas, and then just the ramifications that come from this. We'll be recalling every office because they're under state law. 95% of counties, there is no difference between a school board member and another county elected official. Only in those metro counties and in counties that have a charter is there a little bit of a difference, but there's very few of those. Statewide, I think this causes ramifications for decades to come.
So if I can interpret a little bit, I want you to hear one reason why this bill failed. I also had this confirmed by a few other legislators on the committee that their feelings were the same, that others were feeling this way, and that's why the bill maybe didn't pass. The concern that Representative Cochran puts forward is that, well, wait a minute. If we pass a recall bill for school boards, what's to say that we might at some point pass a bill that says we can recall other members, other elected officials, county commissioners, sheriffs, county mayors? And my goodness, what if at some point you can recall me as a legislator because you don't like the things that I'm doing? It's interesting to me that in California, the people have the power to petition to recall their governor, like Gavin Newsom. But in Tennessee, we're not supposed to be able to recall elected officials. Why? Because that's not becoming of a republic. I emphatically disagree. I know some people don't like recall elections. But at this stage of the game, I think any amount of power you put back in the hands of the people, especially in the hands of parents who want to have a greater level of accountability over school board members, I think that's an effort we should be going forward with here in Tennessee, and we have a lot of support for it. Listen to Representative Todd's remarks on that point.
But this is more of a buyer's remorse issue for me, for most of my constituents and the folks that from across the state have asked me to run this bill. I haven't heard that much from my constituents since that member was dealt with, but from across the state, I've had many other representatives ask me that for their districts, they need this. And citizens have, as you know, have just become much more involved with school boards in the last couple of years over the issues that they're seeing and how much power a school board has over their children's lives and how they turn out. So that's why this is important to parents, and I think I would just implore you to think about that, what you've seen in the news and how motivated parents have been over this issue. And I for one, don't want to be on the wrong side of that, and that's why I brought this.
What a state representative. Hey, I've heard from the people. There are people all across this state that want this bill. And I think you should pay attention to that. I think as a state representative, I think it's important that isn't this what they should all be thinking? And Chairman Todd gets it. But the point is that the reason, again, why I continue to make these videos is so many of them don't. They are more worried about what Tennesseans want and what parents need. They're less concerned with that and more worried with what might happen to them. The next thing I want to comment on is what Representative Lafferty out of the Knoxville area had to say. And look, it pains me here because I think Representative Lafferty is a decent guy, but what he says here truly boggles the mind. Check this out.
The problem that I have with this, we've all been in a position up here that we've had to take hard votes. A lot of times when we do that, we are thinking about how is this going to affect us the next time we have to run for office. My concern, in all due respect to you, my concern is this makes it even tougher for somebody, because a lot of times those hard votes are, we're doing the right thing, but it's going to be hard consequences for us back home. My concern is this makes it even tougher for folks to make those hard votes when they are the right votes to be made. So with that, I wouldn't be able to support your bill.
So let me get this straight. The problem that he has with this bill is that if the law stated that parents and voters had the right to recall their school board members, then it might put too much pressure on elected school board officials when they're making decisions. And if they had to consider the fact that when they make a bad decision or what they feel to be a good decision, but a decision that the people didn't want, they might fear being recalled and vote the way the people want. That's his concern. That's the point. That's the point. That's exactly why we wanted this bill to pass. So that parents and voters have an additional level of accountability over these school board members who refuse across this state to listen to the wishes of parents and do what they want to do regardless of what parents have to say about it. The point of this bill was that school board members might further consider their actions when they know that depending upon the actions they take, they might get petitioned to be recalled. Dude, that's the point. It's exactly what we wanted, and you denied this to voters. You denied this to parents all across the state who were waiting on this bill to pass. Last thing we'll talk about. Listen, and this is sort of a little lesson here in how things work at the Capitol. Listen to what happens at the end of this committee.
Any objection to the question? Members, I'd like to ask, so I can tell this on the voice vote. If not, I'll have to call for a roll call. All those in favor of House Bill 2388, moving out to Finance, Ways and Means, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no.
No.
The noes have it. The bill fails for lack of majority.
All right, what you just saw happen here in this committee is called a voice vote. This is an important distinction and something really important for you to understand, because this is one of the things we want to see changed in the House rules, which, by the way, this is not law per se. This is the rules of the House in how they operate, which they have the right to define themselves. My understanding, if I'm correct, this does not happen in the Senate. In the Senate, every vote they take in committee is a roll call vote, which means you get to go back after the fact and you get to see how your state senator voted on an issue in committee. That's important, right? We need to know how the people we elect are voting on these important issues. But bear with me here. What the House does in committee is that they allow themselves to take votes by voice vote, which means that the chairman gets to make the sole determination as to whether or not a bill passed, determined by what he hears and how loud the ayes were and how loud the noes were. Okay? So ayes versus noes. And he gets to determine himself, based on his own discernment, whether or not that measure passed by a voice vote. And then that's all you see on the website is either the yeses had it or the noes had it. And you don't get to go back and see how your state representative voted in committee. Personally, I find that to be egregious, absolutely undemocratic, and it denies every voter in the state of Tennessee to really know how their state representatives are voting and representing them in committees. Now, you get to see all of their votes on the floor, but can I just say, you see how many bills die in committee. I mean, most bills don't make it to the floor. So I want to know as a voter how my representative is voting in committee. So this is something we want to see changed. I got to be honest. I don't know. I mean, there was one guy you heard on the video say, no, that was really loud. But outside of that one really loud no, I couldn't discern with my ears whether or not the noes or the ayes had it. From my ears, I think the vote could have very well passed. So we're actually trying to confirm every member's vote right now. But again, just another thing that you should be aware of. Did this bill really fail in committee? I don't know. Or did the chairman just, was the chairman under a mandate? I'm just speculating here. Under a mandate to make sure this bill died in committee. And did he in and of himself determine that the bill failed, even though perhaps it had the votes to go through? Unfortunately, because of the House rules, we'll never really know. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you have not subscribed to our email newsletter, please go right now to TennesseeStands.org and hit the subscribe button and sign up for our emails. Why? Because we are being hammered on social media right now. So it's really hard to get this information out on all of our social media channels. So please go to TennesseeStands.org, hit the subscribe button, get our emails, donate if you're able, and also go subscribe to our social media channels at Telegram and Gab, and we're also on Getter. Thanks so much.